My name is Simon Rous. I'm a partner working in London. I've done corporate M&A cross-border work all my life. I've been very lucky to have worked in many jurisdictions, including being stationed in Paris, in Brussels, in the Middle East, and in New York. And I've also worked on deals in over 60 different countries, and so I've had a lot of fun. The firm I work for is called Ashfords. It's based in London. It's a national firm. It has offices outside London. We're about 550 people. We have a strong corporate team and all the business services you'd expect, including tax, employment, IT, tech, and so forth. But we're also a full-service firm and look after the private client.
Hello, my name is Gilles Sequin. I'm a partner at BCF LLP. BCF LLP is a Quebec-based law firm with offices in Montreal and Quebec City. We are over 240 lawyers, business lawyers. That means that we do everything that the entrepreneur will need in his legal needs. The firm was created only 20 years ago, so it is the fastest growing firm in Canada. Myself, I have 35 years of practice. It's unbelievable. I started at 12 years old. No. 35 years of practice. I'm a commercial and securities law lawyer. In my career, I did a lot of deals involving transatlantic corporation. A lot from, I have many clients from France and elsewhere in Europe. I've dealt with all of the Western Europe countries in my life.
Yeah, well, the great thing is, Gilles, you and I first met each other, I think, at the IRG London Conference 2015. You may not remember, but I do.
In fact, I remember it was at the bar. It was quite late.
And then you were kind enough to come and visit our offices in 2016. Yeah. And since then, because we're both members of the M&A steering group, we meet at conferences and we also join in conference calls. So we're in touch with each other pretty regularly. Now, it's really nice to be able to meet you here in Lisbon. And what I'd like to ask you is, what's the M&A activity like in Canada at the moment, and what are your thoughts about it going forward?
The thing I wanted to mention, though, is when I visited you at your office, it was the day after the Brexit.
Was it? It was the day after the referendum, was it?
Yeah, the day after.
Yeah.
You know that in Quebec we're expert in referendums.
Yes.
We had two of them.
Yes.
So, but it was a no, not a yes.
Yes. Yeah.
And I visited you and other people and other businessmen that day. And in fact, you were quite cool about that.
I think, the word is sanguine. Yes.
No, but you were relaxed and cool about everything that is there. The M&A activity in Canada. Of course, Canada is strong in finance and in resources. So that activities remain strong across Canada. But one thing that is, few things are interesting those days in Canada. Canada will be the first G8 country to legalize the recreational marijuana.
Wow.
This is, yes, quite impressive. We had a new Prime Minister, Mr. Justin Trudeau, who is the son of Pierre Elliott Trudeau.
I remember him.
A liberal, a very open-minded person. And so it was on his electoral platform to legalize marijuana. So we'll be the first G8 country, July 1st. Personally, I was not really involved in those, because before that we have the medicinal. Didn't have any client in this, but in the late 2017 and now the beginning of 2018, M&A activity. We had huge deals, like $1 billion deals out West Canada.
Really?
M&A. Also, there are IPOs. We have now, I don't know, maybe in Canada 30, 40 companies, public companies in that field. It seems that every greenhouse in Canada is turning into
Yeah, but who's going to smoke all this stuff?
apparently
You're not allowed to export it. I mean,
apparently the demand will be gigantic.
right, really.
Gigantic. And all the G8 countries are looking at us because we're interested to do
It's
that.
a huge source of revenue, I
Yes,
believe.
for the government.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
it'll be great. It'll be great. So there is this. Then there is the blockchain technology. For blockchain technology, I will not try to explain what it is.
Good, thank
I
you.
think I have an idea. And this also, companies, unbelievable activity concerning blockchain. And I think it will change a lot of things. And thirdly,
You've got an ICO, initial coin offering.
yes.
ICO instead of IPO, I like that.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
So we have the blockchain technology
Yeah.
that support
Yeah.
Bitcoins
But,
and
yeah.
the coins technology. This is something else. So we call it the cryptocurrencies. Cryptocurrencies that are issued, funny enough, they are not recognized by our Securities Commission, but it exists. So it's there.
You
And
can't ignore it,
we have
yeah.
clients coming to us to do that type of things. We're talking to the regulatory authorities. And it's like 3 domains that did not exist 18 months ago.
Just
It's
new
unbelievable.
business, yeah.
Yeah.
Used to be
And
finance
even
and
though
resort,
we're
yeah.
not looking for it,
Yeah.
we're not, they came to us.
Yeah, good. Forward-looking firm. I need a law firm to help me with my legalized cannabis. I know just the firm.
It's a deal, but the fact is, a deal is a deal.
A deal is a deal.
That's
You're
it.
right,
It's a
absolutely
joint
right.
venture.
Yeah.
It's
I'm sorry to report that M&A activity in the UK and Europe, although very prosperous, is not as exciting as that. So 2017 was for the UK was not as good as 2016. That's nothing to do with Brexit. That is because 2016 was a record year. 2017 was nevertheless a very good year. It was the 3rd best for M&A activity in the history of the UK. So, a good year by any standards. For Europe, 2017, according to PitchBook, which is one of the big surveys, as you know, they said European activity, especially cross-border, was 13.2% up in 2017 compared to 2016. So one of the questions is, what is 2018 going to be like? Who can predict? But all we can say
if we
is
simply look at the market, sorry to interrupt.
you look at the pipeline and reported deals. You look at the fact, at least for sterling rates remain low, interest rates remain low, which means that the inward activity and the inward purchases from foreign companies looking at the UK as a target area, it's going to remain good. I mean, sterling's not going to go through the roof anytime soon. Interest rates will edge up, but only by 0.25%.
Yeah.
So I think 2018 will be fine. And I think the whole uncertainty around Brexit has kind of been absorbed by the market, and an example of that is Citibank's announcement last week. Citibank, one of the biggest, if not the biggest bank in the world, has 9,000 employees in London. And they announced, we are keeping all our staff in London, all 9,000, whatever the result of Brexit. We'll invest a bit more in Europe, but 9,000 people are staying in London. And I think the rest of the market, I mean, there are a few exceptions where people need to be, elsewhere. But I think the financial services sector, which is so important for the UK, looks pretty safe to me. I talked about volume of business in the UK. There's one sector which keeps it going, keeps the M&A activity going, is the private equity funds, because private equity usually write into their rules that they have to exit an investment every 5 to 7 years.
Yeah.
And that's just...
Have you seen 10 years?
Well, 10 years is quite long for us, so maybe you can, but 5 to 7 is normal in the UK, which means that, there is a constant chain of sales that come along. And one of the features of private equity, which we were discussing earlier, is that they want to maximize the return that they can distribute to their members. And they hate long-term warranties and indemnities because that ties up the contingency risk in the business instead of releasing it. Now, the solution we found in the UK market for that is warranty indemnity insurance, because the cost of that premium, which is now as low as 0.75%, and it's really competitive, can be built into the purchase price, enables a private equity seller to take the entire purchase price and distribute it. And the risk for the contingent liability is left with the insurers. Are you getting some of that in Quebec? Does that happen over there?
I've seen in some occasion that type of warranties insurance. I have found it is normal deal, regular deal, not necessarily those private equity deals. I found it very cumbersome because you have to go
everything twice. Due diligence twice.
It's long. You have to provide documents. It's like another due diligence.
It is like a secondary transaction.
Yes, it is. So you need really large transactions.
I agree. It doesn't make sense for anything less than 20 million, I think.
Exactly. So it's not very often that we see that.
In the UK, it's 30% of all M&A deals now have warranty indemnity insurance, and that percentage is rising. Because although it's extra work, it's another pair of eyes checking, which is nice for both sides. But it gets rid of that long period, the 3-year warranty period, the 5-year tax period,
But we have also something that you may have. We have escrow.
Yeah, we have escrow.
Escrow, but normally an escrow would be limited to 12 months to 18 months.
Same with us. Quick release.
And it is 50%.
Reasonably straightforward too. It's easy to arrange.
Escrow normally.
But anyway, we've identified, Gilles, that our two systems are slightly different because we have a lot of warranty insurance and you don't. We have the Anglo-Saxon common law system with the principle of caveat emptor. I think you may have caveat emptor too, but...
In fact, it's Roman law.
It is Roman law.
So
it's buyer beware, but I think what my civil law friends say is, how come Anglo-Saxon sale and purchase agreements are 150 pages, whereas a Dutch sale and purchase agreement will be 20 pages? Because
maybe they say they're brighter?
No, I don't. Well, they do say that they're brighter, but they also say a lot of the stuff is covered by civil law. It doesn't need to be restated, especially stuff related to employees, warranties related to property, warranties relating to pensions. All the stuff is covered by the law, whereas in the common law system we put it all in the contract. So ours are inevitably longer. What's it like with you guys? Because you're
we have in Quebec in a very hybrid system. I would say a strange system. It's like a camel with a horse head, or the contrary, or a horse with a camel head. It's very, because if we go back to the history, in Quebec, in Canada, in fact, was a French colony until 1760.
All of Canada?
But at the time, Canada, in fact, it's very interesting because New France was half of the North America. It comes from Quebec City, Montreal, you go down the Mississippi, to New Orleans. It was,
Louisiana and all that.
Louisiana also has a dual system of civil law, as we have. But for us, it's more entrenched into the system of laws. So, we have you know that in 1774 we had a law. We call it the Act de Québec, Act of Quebec. At that time, the British were worried because they were like problem with the American colonies, and they're like Canadian colony, British North America colony. They just won over the French at that time. So they decided to give some candies to the population there to keep them quiet.
The most important thing at the time
Yeah.
was the religion.
Yeah, Catholicism.
Not the language, no,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
religion,
Yeah.
and the legal system,
Yeah.
curiously enough.
Yeah.
So it's why we have a civil law in Quebec, but the civil law is among the people. And the British were and were kind of wise to say, yes, that's fine among yourself, you keep civil law, but anything that has to do with the state and the individual and criminal law
Yeah.
has to be
Common law.
So
Yeah.
our criminal code is very much like your criminal
Right,
code. And
right.
the system is very much the same. It's not the French system that we have. So to go back in commercial law, contracts. So we have a dual system. So we have also 100-page documents for SPAs and APAs. And we rely also to the Civil Code, Civil Code of Quebec. Civil Code of Quebec has been inspired of the French Napoleonic Code.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
there are kind of difference, but the
Yeah.
basis is quite the same. So each time we do the contract, we rely on both. But
Yeah.
there are occasions that, as you know, in civil law, just finish on that.
Yeah.
As you know, in civil law, we have certain sections that are of public order.
Yeah.
So even though we write it in the
Yeah.
contracts,
Yeah.
you cannot contravene to the
Right,
sections that
right,
are of public
right.
orders. For instance, you could revoke a mandate at any time, even
Yeah.
though you write it.
All right.
Or you have anything that has commercial renting, there are a lot
Right.
of documents
Yeah.
on public order,
Yeah.
family law,
Yeah.
many things.
Yeah.
So we have to look and be aware of the civil code
Yeah.
and the practice. But do not forget also that Quebec is a very small way, like
Yeah.
8-9 million people. It's
Yeah.
not so small. But compared to the North American
Market, yes.
environment,
Yes.
we have
Canada is influenced by its dominant neighbour to the south, that nation that we won't mention, currently led by President Trump.
Yeah.
Where
We're a mice, and
Well,
our neighbor is
yeah,
an elephant.
they talk
so
about-
each time the elephant.
They talk about reps and warranties in North America. I don't know if you do in Quebec, but they talk about reps and warranties almost as if it was the same thing. Because certainly in the UK, a representation, which is what rep is short for, is very different from a warranty. A representation, a breach of representation under English law gives the right for the injured party to rescind the contract. So you will very rarely see a representation agreed in an English contract. Yeah. And warranties, the remedy for warranties is contractual damages. And what is that? That is, well, what did the buyer suffer? And what he suffered is the decline in value of the shares he bought. And that has to be reasonable, and it has to be reasonably predictable. So, but I think it may be, is that the same for you, or is that different?
In our SPAs and APAs, it's always the same section, representation and warranty.
It's treated like the same thing, isn't it?
It's treated like the same
Yeah.
thing. Then
Yeah.
you have to go into the indemnification clauses.
Yeah, yeah.
And
They are different.
They
Indemnity,
explain what
yeah,
you could do if
yeah.
there is a disagreement.
Yeah.
And then you go to the money to escrow. Very often in the indemnification clauses,
Yeah.
we limit the amount of indemnification. It used to be to the entire sales price, but it's going down.
Yeah.
It could be like 40% now,
Yeah.
30% of the sales
Yeah.
price.
Yeah.
And we have also a de minimis clause.
Yeah.
So, under that amount of
Yeah.
$100,000, whatever,
Yeah.
don't bother.
Yeah.
Don't call
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
de minimis.
Yeah.
And of course,
yeah.
we have the duration of the representation
Yeah.
and warranties.
Yeah.
It used to be 5 years, then 3.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
we negotiate down
Yeah.
2
Yeah.
years,
Yeah. Yeah.
a year and a half.
I agree. But tax,
Yeah.
does that remain 5? Because that's a statutory period.
Until it is statutory.
Yeah, statute.
Yeah.
It's very similar for us. We have the de minimis, which doesn't even enter into the basket. Then we have the threshold, which you have to get over. Once you're over, you can get the whole amount. And then you have the maximum liability, which used to be the purchase price,
Yes.
but as following the North American model, is coming down a bit. So those are some similarities. But, Gilles, it's been an interesting analysis of our two legal systems, and I think that Quebec and you as Quebecois M&A lawyer in a fairly unique position in that you have, whereas I'm stuck with a menu fixe, I have the common law and that's it. You seem to have a bit of a choice that you can go for. You have some Quebecois common law, you have some Quebecois civil law, and you have maybe borrowing from the rest of Canada and United States.
The United States.
So you
yeah,
have
certainly.
a la carte menu. Very
Or
nice.
Chinese buffet.
Or Chinese buffet. There we go. Well, it's been very nice talking to you about our two legal systems. I think we should now move to the bar.
Yeah, great.
All
Great
right?
idea.